Did you guys watch the video? Sorry, it got cut off. I don't know what happened. I was trying to figure out what happened, but couldn't figure it out. Okay. Cool. We'll wait for everyone to rejoin. Thanks for the like. Don't forget to subscribe.
Join us on Patreon.
Venmo.
What is Patreon?
I'll tell you. Let me pull up the video. I'll put it on the chat. Okay. Hi, everyone that rejoined. Yes, you can ask questions. That's whoever has questions. If you guys have questions, we can answer them. You guys can post it on the chat. Yeah, you guys can chat right now while we wait for everyone to rejoin. Did you put me in attendance? I don't know. Why don't you put your name right now, Christina? Put your name and your grade so that we can put you in the attendance. Oh, I was told to remind everyone to please do your homework, right, and to send it via email. I got some of my sins. I got Elijah's, I got Jonathan and Gloria's. So good job to you guys. So make sure that you guys are doing your homework. Your parents will record you doing the memory verse, and then send a picture of your homework. Okay. I will make a new Google Doc, and I will post it on the chat room so that you guys can access it whenever you need to, and then to see what the daily homework will be. Okay. So if I don't have that up today, I will be up on Monday, tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, so the voice recording, we will put it on the, you can send it in the email. Some do not fit in the email. If they don't fit in the email, then I want you guys to send it to your teacher via Kakao. Yeah, everyone has the same homework. Everyone would have the same homework. If the discussion questions are too hard, then you can skip the discussion questions. Oh, Kinder. Let's. I'm finding out right now if if kindergarten has homework. We'll wait about 2 more minutes and then we'll start on the rest of the message. Yes, Caleb, what's your question? There's only one verse to memorize. Only one verse to memorize. This upcoming week, there will be a new memory verse. Okay. Only one memory verse a week. Last week's memory verse was Exodus chapter 3, 7 to 8. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think majority of people are back. So we are going to continue with the lesson. Okay. So yeah, so just 7 to 8. I will post it on the chat room, the new document. Okay. So no more questions for now. Hold on to your questions till later. Okay. So let's continue with the lesson. So I'm assuming everyone watched the lesson. Not the lesson, the video. So that video is giving you guys a recap, right, about the 10 plagues, right? And I want us to understand the 10 plagues because, like I said earlier, I want us to wrap this up by kind of understanding what God's plan was for all of this. Okay, so if you remember in your reading, right, in Exodus, there was one part where after Moses came to Pharaoh and told him to let his people go, Pharaoh got mad, right? He couldn't control his emotions. He got mad, and he basically told the all of the slave drivers. He told them to make all of the Israelite slaves find their own straw, right, to make their own bricks, and do not change the amount of bricks that they have to make, right? Keep it the same. So basically, their job got a lot harder because before, right, before the Egyptians would give them the materials that they need, right? The Egyptians will give the Israelites the materials that they need, and then the Israelites will make the bricks, and then they will give them back to Pharaoh, right? But now Pharaoh got so mad, right, at what Moses told him to do that he said, I want all of the Israelite slaves to find their own materials and then to still make the same number of bricks, right? So think about it like this. It's like if what's a good example? Can't think of an example. I'll think of an example for you guys later. But basically, the Israelites had a lot more work to do now. And then the Israelites got so upset at Moses and like, why are you doing this to us? Why did you do this? Okay. And then Moses goes back to God and says, God, the people are suffering even more. Why did you even make me do this in the first place? Right. And then so a lot of people thought God is not fair. God is not just. This is not fair. You are making the people of Israel suffer even more, right? But I want you to remember, keep this in the back of your head. God's plan, right? God has a plan. God had a plan this whole time, and we just don't know about it. Okay. They didn't know about it at the time. They all they knew was the suffering there was more suffering now, right? So let's talk about the 10 plagues really quick. Okay. Why are the 10 plagues so important? Is because God is so he plans everything out so carefully. Because I did some research, right? I did some research about the 10 plagues, and I found out something very, very cool. Okay. So we all know that there's a lot of like these Egyptian gods, right? So the people of Egypt, they worship these like all these different kind of gods, right? There's like gods of like wealth, gods of something like this, gods something here, something there, many different kinds of gods, right? So I'm gonna go through each of the 10 plagues, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about each one. Okay, the first one. Okay, one of the first plagues, right, was water turned to blood, right? So there is an Egyptian god that represents the river. The river, it's Egyptian god of the Nile. The name is like Happy or Hapi. It's the Egyptian god that represents water, right? So God was so careful, right? He planned this out from the very beginning. He said, okay, these people of Egypt, they worship all of these different gods. I am going to bring all of these gods down, and I'm going to show them who is the real God. So basically, what did he do to bring down the god of like the Nile, whatever they call, god of water, Hapi, Hapi, Egyptian god of the Nile? What did he have Moses do? He had the water turned into blood. So after the first plague, Pharaoh was not impressed. He's like, I can do the same thing, right? I can do the same thing. So he brought his magicians, and then they did the same thing, right? So he was not impressed. Pharaoh was not impressed at all. So God said, okay, what's your next idol? What's your next god? The next Pharaoh, no, not next Pharaoh, the next plague, frogs coming out of the river, right? So there is another Egyptian god that represents fertility and like renewal is what they call it. And basically this god had a head of a frog, right? This Egyptian god had a head that represents a frog. So then God said, okay, no problem. I am going to bring that god that you worship down too. And I'm going to show you who's boss. I'm going to show you who's the real God. So what did he do? He had a whole bunch of frogs, right, let loose all over Egypt. The third plague, right? The third plague is the dust, right? So there is an Egyptian god called Geb, Egyptian god of the earth. Okay. So what did God do? He brought that god down too. He had Moses stretch his rod out, and basically he had all of the dust come over Egypt, right? So he brought that god down too. Okay, the next god that they worship is the sun, right? Or not sun. Egyptian god of creation, right? So what did God do to bring that Egyptian god down, right? Was he set forth all the flies, right? All the flies all over Egypt. Okay. And then so now by this time, this is the fourth plague right now, right? So then the people of Egypt are starting to get a little bit worried. They're thinking, all of these gods that we worship, right? They're like getting brought down one by one, right? But they didn't know at the time. They're thinking they were solely relying on Pharaoh, right? They were only relying on Pharaoh to basically be like the head power, right? So that's all they were putting their trust on. They didn't know God at the time. They don't know about God, right? But then God, through all this, he's trying to show the people of Egypt who he is, right? If you remember in one of the verses, he tells Moses to go tell the people of Egypt that I am who I am, right? He is God, right? But the people don't know. Okay, the next god, Hathor, Egyptian goddess of protection. This god had a head of a cow. So what did God do, right? He had them go to Egypt, and then basically this plague right, killed all of the livestock, all of like the cows, right? Do you see the connection? The god has the head of a cow. So what did he do? He killed all of the livestock, right? And if you can imagine what this did, now people don't have food, no meat, no milk, no eggs, right? From their chickens, nothing, basically no food, right? So now by this time, the people of Egypt are in trouble, right? They're starting to be in trouble. Okay, next one is having boils. So boils are like basically like big pimples that that hurt a lot, and they had them all over the body. So who was the god that represented medicine? It's another Egyptian god called Isis or something, right? So God said, okay, no problem. I am gonna bring that god down too. Okay, moving forward, there's another Egyptian goddess of the sky or something. Is the name was like Nut, N-U-T. So what did God do? He brought fire down from the sky, right? He said, okay, you worship a goddess of sky, no problem. I'm gonna have fire come down from the sky. Okay. And then another god, Egyptian god Seth, right? So this god represents like storms and disorders, right? So by now, Pharaoh is still not listening to God, still not listening to Moses, right? One of the questions I asked you guys was, why was Moses' heart hardened by God? Okay, and I'm gonna answer that at the very end of this. Okay. So what did God do to bring that God down? He brought locusts, right? Locusts from the sky. Okay. All right. And then we have two more. Okay. The second to last is the sun god Ra, R-A. Okay. So what did God do to bring this god down? He basically made darkness, right? There was only darkness that fell all over Egypt, right? Okay. And then the last one, right? The death of the firstborn. Okay. So let me tell you guys a little bit about how the Egyptian people view Pharaoh. Okay. So to them, Pharaoh is a god. It's they worship Pharaoh, right? They actually believe that he is a god. So what did our God do to bring that down? He had the firstborn of every household killed, right? That's why I asked you guys a question about Passover. Okay, what was Passover? Right? That was when the angel of death came over and took away all of the firstborns, right? So in order to bring every single god down, God sent to Egypt one plague at a time, right? And at the end of all of these 10 plagues, then Pharaoh said, okay, you can go, right? So what I want you guys to understand is that God is very purposeful in everything that he does. But in the middle of the storm, when the people of Israel were there, when Moses and Aaron were there, they probably didn't see. We can read the Bible and we know everything. We know we have like a vantage point. We can see everything from above, right? We can see everything happening. We can say, oh, this is why this happened, right? But Moses and them, they didn't know, right? They were just worried about their own safety, their own condition, right? But God always had a plan, right? The reason why God sent all of these plagues is to bring each of these idols down, right? All of these idols that the Egyptian gods represented, he brought them all down. He kept hardening Pharaoh's heart because these are acts of judgment, right? This is God. Our God is a God that is just, right? And then if you guys remember, right before they left Egypt, right, they had the festival of unleavened bread, and then God told them, I don't want you guys to use yeast. So yeast is something that you put in bread, right? And just a tiny bit amount causes the bread to basically spread, right? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So what does this yeast represent? It represents sin, right? So God didn't want them to take their sin with them. He wanted to leave it all behind, right behind in Egypt when they left, right? So he told them, I want you guys to make bread that does not have yeast, right? Because he already knew he knew, right, that it's dangerous for them to take their son with them. Okay. So if you look at all of these different parts and you put them all together, right, you will see that God already had a plan for everything, right? So I want you guys to think about what I want you guys to think about throughout this whole week, and I'll add it into your homework is I want you guys to think about, okay, what were some times where you felt that something wasn't like how your life was happening wasn't the way you wanted it to, but at the end of the day, like God had a plan for it, right? I want you guys to think about that. Okay. So to wrap this lesson up, okay, I will be sending you guys all the homework that you guys need to do. I was told that the kindergarten homework is I will also add that into the document as well. And then, right, for you guys to give you guys a little reward for doing your homework, okay, whoever does the homework, we will go to your house and we will deliver ice cream for you guys. Yeah. So we will deliver ice cream for you if you do your homework. For example, like my kids, I got Jonathan's, I got Gloria's, and I got Elijah's. So if you haven't sent your homework, send it in. Send your homework in. Okay? All right. So, let's see. If you guys notice, today is the last Sunday of March. So that means, drum roll, we are going to celebrate March birthdays. So is anyone here a March birthday? Does anyone have a March birthday? If you are, can you say it in the chat who you are? I don't know if we have any March babies here. Do we have any March birthdays? Yes. Who are the March babies? Please tell me who you are so we can celebrate. Me, Elijah's March. Jacob, Adele. Yay. Adele, Elijah. Elijah's birthday's coming up soon. Nice. So can you help me sing happy birthday with the guitar? Happy birthday, Audrey. Happy birthday, Adele. Happy birthday, Elijah. Who else? Jacob, happy birthday. Woo! Yeah. Okay, so Dylan teacher is gonna help us sing. We're gonna sing happy birthday. So everyone, I want you guys all to sing happy birthday, okay?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Audrey, Adele, Elijah, Jacob.
Happy
And Audrey.
birthday to you.
Woo! Yay! Happy birthday, everybody. Okay, so we are going to do offering now. So your parents will help you with that. Let me play some music for offering. Dylan teacher will play us some music for offering.
Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. You are the Father. I am the clay. Mold me and make me. This is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you.
Can you pray for us? You want to pray?
Oh. Father God, thank you for today's service that we were able to have with each other. I pray that we can just hold on to these words throughout the week, and with the help of our homework, God, that we can just remember what we learned today. And I thank you again, and pray all this in Jesus' name.
Amen. Good job, guys. For everyone that was here, bless you. Eva teacher also told me that we will have cake together when we get back. We will celebrate all of the March babies whenever we come back. Okay? All right, good job, guys. If you guys have questions, type them in the chat, or you can send them in the group chat. Thank you, everyone that came. Love you guys. Miss you all. Miss you all. Okay. Bye.